One of the methods to solve quadratic equations is the quadratic formula, which is x equals minus b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, and on the bottom we have 2a. I highly recommend memorizing this, because solving quadratic equations with the quadratic formula always works, even when other methods may not work. Let's say we want to solve the quadratic equation 2x squared plus 3x equals 2. The first step is to rewrite the quadratic equation in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. When comparing our equation with this form, we see that we have to subtract 2 on both sides to get a 0 on the right-hand side of the equation. So after subtracting 2 on each side, we get 2x squared plus 3x minus 2 equals 0. Now we have exactly the same form it should be to apply our quadratic formula. The a, which we have to plug into the quadratic formula, is the 2 in front of the x squared. The b, which we have to plug into the quadratic formula, is the 3, which is in front of the x. And the c, which we have to plug into the quadratic formula, is the negative 2, which stands alone without an x squared or x. We also call the negative 2 the constant term. While you are still learning this, you can mark the numbers that are a, b, and c. Or you can write a equals 2, b equals 3, and c equals negative 2 before you plug these numbers into the quadratic formula. So let's plug in the 2, the 3, and the negative 2 into the quadratic formula. X equals negative 3 plus minus the square root of 3 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 2. And on the bottom we have 2 times 2. Three squared is 9. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8, times negative 2 is plus 16. 2 times 2 is 4. Nine plus 16 is 25, and the square root of 25 is 5. So we get minus 3 plus minus 5, and on the bottom 4. What does the plus minus mean here? It means that we have two solutions. Negative 3 plus 5 is 2. Two over 4 is equivalent to 1 over 2. And the second solution is negative 3 minus 5 is negative 8. And negative 8 over 4 is negative 2, which is our second solution. So the solutions are 1 over 2 and negative 2, and we are done with this problem. Let's look at this example. X squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 0. In this example, we don't need to rearrange the terms to get our equation in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, because the equation is already in that form. So let's start by plugging the numbers into the quadratic formula. X is equal to negative b is 2, plus minus the square root of b squared, so that's 2 squared, minus 4 times a is 1, times c, which is 1, all divided by 2a, or 2 times 1. When we have no number in front of x squared, we can imagine there's a 1 there, because 1 times x squared is x squared. For any variable that has no coefficient, you can assume the coefficient is 1. So we have negative 2 plus minus the square root of 2 squared is 4. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4, times 1 is negative 4. 2 times 1 is 2. Four minus 4 is 0, and the square root of 0 is 0. Negative 2 plus or minus 0 is still negative 2. So we only get one solution for this quadratic equation, which is negative 2 over 2. Which is negative 1. And we're done with this problem. Our first example had two solutions. This example has one solution. Let's make an example where we have no solution. Remember, when solving quadratic equations, we only have these three cases. Two solutions, one solution, or no solution. No solution means that we don't have a solution with real numbers. When you learn the topic of complex numbers, we will also have complex solutions instead of no solution. Let's look at this example where we have no solution. 4 minus 3x equals negative 2x squared. Before we start plugging the numbers into our quadratic formula, we have to write the problem in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Let's flip the 4 and the minus 3x first. Now add 2x squared on each side to get 2x squared minus 3x plus 4 equals 0. Let's plug in the numbers. X equals negative b is negative 3, plus minus the square root of b squared, so that's negative 3 squared, minus 4 times a is 2, times c, which is 4. All divided by 2 times 2. Two times 2 is 4. Negative 3 squared is 9. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8, times 4 is negative 32. 9 minus 32 is negative 23. Because we can't take the square root of a negative number, and because we haven't studied the topic of complex numbers, we can say that we have no solution for this problem. Let's recap. When solving quadratic equations with the quadratic equations formula, we first have to write the problem in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Then write down your quadratic equation formula and plug in the numbers that represent the a, b, and c. Simplify and you're done. Always keep in mind that there are 3 cases when you haven't learned about the topic of complex numbers. The first case is that you have 2 solutions for the problem. This happens when you have a positive expression under the root. The second case is when you have a 0 under the root. Then you have 1 solution. And the third case is when you have a negative number under the square root. Then you have no solution. I highly recommend memorizing the quadratic formula right now. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments. This video is what I did for you. If you want to do something for me, hit the bell button, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching and happy learning, everyone.